So let's talk about life. How do men build their confidence in the day that we live in?
Men have to understand that their operating system running the world has changed. Somebody said, what a man can do, a woman can do. So women are also boxing. I said, give me the woman who's going to box Mike Tyson. I mean, what kind of boxing? How is that going to work out? We should be content with design. Design is instructive.
Yeah.
Once you confuse the fact for a problem, you are going to begin to move into some form of lunacy.
I'm looking for how to teach young men swing hard.
Yes.
Swing like whatever that your bat hits is out of the park.
Yes.
This is life. All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. You know what time it is, right? This is life. So let's talk about life. Let's talk about the things that weigh on all our hearts about life. In recent times, there's a subject that's been really bothering me, and every now and again I meet men, and when men are able to speak in safe spaces, right, that there are not a lot of safe spaces for men to talk, but when men find themselves in safe spaces, these are the things that they talk about. They talk about the fact that the world has been overtaken by women. That the world has been overtaken by women, and men are feeling like the world has become very pro-woman to such an extent that they don't even know how to do. In fact, let's start from relationships. Men do not know how to be men again in relationships, and I get asked this question a lot of times. So it's great that I have my friend here. You know him, you see him. I call him the architect of thought. He's the architect of thought. So if your mind gets warped and twisted when he's done, don't worry, it's normal. He does that very, very regularly. So the question I want us to address is this. A man is in love with a very successful woman, and he says to me, Pastor, how do I love this woman? Because everything that they told me makes me a man. She can provide for herself, she can do for herself. So for instance, the modern day man does not know how to be the husband of the modern day woman. Back in the day, the roles were defined. So wife took care of children, husband brought home the food, wife ensured the home was well, husband went to work and brought money and supply. But now women can do almost everything. So when a guy meets a woman now, what does he say? I'll buy you a house, and she responds, I already have 3. I have one in Paris, one in Milan, and I just bought one in Banana Island. Say, I'll buy you a car. And says, I got a Ferrari, a Bugatti, and maybe a Rolls Royce. And guy's like, okay, how do I show to you that I'm a man now? I'll take you shopping. I say, I don't know how to say this. I'm a part shareholder in LMVH. That is the group that houses Givenchy, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and all of them. And even before a season comes, we get to choose. So shopping is not my thing. So the guy now is wondering, how do I be a man to this kind of woman? So PK, help us.
Yes.
How do we be?
It's a reality out there, actually. And I think, on many other levels, if you get close to a woman who is aware of who she is, you want to be very clear about difference. And for me, it's a play on difference.
Okay.
Generally, no matter who you are, high or low, life will not recognize you for your similarities.
Okay.
You are recognized and rewarded for your difference.
That's why I needed you on this one.
So, and then you have very powerful faith ideas. For example, in scripture, you have statements like, two cannot work together except they agree. And for most people, the way they defer to that idea is about similarity. You know, compatibility for so many people is about similarity. But what the Bible says is that two cannot work together except they agree. Agreement does not need similarity.
Oh, come on. PK in the building. Okay.
The Bible did not say that two cannot work together except they are similar. It said except they agree. Right? So we must be careful not to overrate the idea of similarity and to get comfortable with the possibilities trapped in differences. Yeah. There's so much wisdom hiding in plain sight when we begin to open up to the weight of difference, right? Our difference, our personal power, and we have to honor it. Wow. And that is true for every individual. The attention, the resources our individuality deserves cannot be compromised, right? So we can be two different people, which is how we relate successfully. We can be two different people, but we can agree on certain protocols, of course, that will govern this relationship. Okay. I think people camp too much around compatibility. Personally, my whole system rejects it. Because I think that being compatible is true, but it can be negotiated based on similarity. And, you know, for me, for example, I don't know how to do anything in the house. When I was getting married, I failed, Pastor Lanre, all the tests of what a man should be judged by domestically. If the TV is broken, it's going to remain broken, or we call somebody to come fix it. I don't go get spanners.
I'm better than PK. I'm better than him. I can fix stuff. I can fix stuff. He can't.
My mom warned my wife when she was getting married. No, seriously, he doesn't know how to do anything. You know, when it comes to the house, I'm like a woman.
Wow.
I don't do nothing. My wife is more, she's more, you know, handy more than I am. You know, I've grown to appreciate my strength, which is my brain. You know, that's my greatest strength.
But how do you use your brain as husband in the house?
Yes, so
when they need you to be handy.
Well, make the money and pay for.
Okay, all right.
I'll pay for who's going to fix it. But more than that is that I am more intuitive.
Okay.
I'm very present in the home, and I can figure things out real quick, you know, and I can respond real quick to whatever it is that requires any form of serious exchange, right? And so, knowing who you are, knowing what you are about, knowing the protocols you cannot violate about you is very critical. But doing the same for the woman is even more critical. So a woman who is made knows the way. She knows every protocol about royalty. Okay. She understands how it works. The last thing you want to do is to try to impress her on those terms. Because you are playing to your weakness
and her strength.
And you are playing to her strength.
Okay.
And depending on how you do it, you can even empower her ignorance by giving her, you know, convincing her too quickly that you are not in the game, you don't know what's going on. And so she's going to sincerely try to save her and save you, save herself and save you by taking charge of that relationship. And she's going to tell you what to do or label you very quickly as a virus and take you out.
PK, that's harsh. That's harsh. I think I know, guys. I think PK is being very harsh.
But it's true, Pastor Lanre.
No, there's got to be a place for the soft guy.
So
there's got to be a place for the good guy.
I believe so.
No, but truly, and I've heard that. You know, we've there's also the discussion that good girls are attracted to bad guys, and gentle people to harsh guys, and those kind of things. But it cannot be a disadvantage to be a nice guy.
Sadly,
no.
It's you see, my thinking is Principles are universal.
Okay.
So there are universal, generic experiences in the human condition. But some experiences are peculiar. And there are people who manage those peculiarities. So we will not always find women who can manage the, simplicity, short of saying naivety, but let's say simplicity of a good man. Very people can be powerful and yield that power. It's a lot when on a daily basis you keep reminding me of how powerful I am and I can feel your power. It takes a lot. I mean, Jesus said stuff like, be gentle as a dove, but he quickly let us know it's not enough. So be wise as a serpent. And it began the statement by saying, I'm sending you out as sheep amongst wolves. And what he's saying is that, look, this is the default. You are not wolves among wolves. You are not sheep among sheep. You are going to be sheep among wolves. So this is the way you handle it.
So wow.
You have to be dove and serpent. Because this is the default. If you can't see the wolves, you have to assume that they are there. And so you just can't be sheep.
In fact, the Bible also warns us about wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yes.
But just know that the default, there are wolves there. And you have to be able to interpret that. There are wolves that are not necessarily, I meet all kinds of men and women out there who know how to talk in their power, but they have it, and they need you to know that they do have it. You can't expect them to relate with you with some form of amnesia or that they're not aware of the power that they wield.
And you knowing and letting them know that you know that they have it, it's a lot of power in itself, and we respect it. What I find that power really rejects is the unconscious, that state of nescience that either denies the existence of that power or does not recognize it. There's nobody that will be powerful and endure your posture, of ignorance about that power. And then you are demanding natural nutrients like virtue, respect, and all of that. There's balance of power, and it's not negotiated based on weakness. Is that
negotiated based on strength?
Mutual strength.
Okay.
Mutual strength. So I need to know that I'm powerful. I need to know that you are powerful. But more than the two, I need you to know that I know that you are powerful. And that's what Jesus was saying, that if you are going to go to war, it's not just your own weapons you need to know. You need to know what's on the other side. So I really believe that men need a lot of wisdom. That does not mean that, in my own personal estimation, I think that if Adam in the garden was adequate, Eve will have been unnecessary.
Come on! No! BK, you did just say that. Did you just say that?
I sincerely
say that.
I sincerely think so.
You just busted all our bubbles now as men, as in. This is life.